We start off immediately from the cliffhanger of the last episode, which is really great. Reggie tells us that his girlfriend or wife or whatever she was got killed by something while she was sleeping. And while she was sleeping, she was muttering the same words over and over to herself. Those words being the poem that Kenny also had in his dream in the last episode. They touch, they break, they steal. No one here is free until you stop the melody. The fact that Reggie remembered so much of the rhyme is insane. The man has a crazily good memory. Randall's irrational behavior just gets worse and worse throughout the episode. He even starts thinking that Jim is also in on the experiment, just like he thinks Donna and Boyd are in on it. But once the melody starts playing on the radio while they're in the RV, he changes his tune very quickly and breaks the window of the RV and runs out of there with a quickness. He gets swarmed by the cicadas and he really takes the saying fuck around and find out to a whole new level. Marielle ends up having a massive breakdown while she's at Colony House, and Christy tries to help her out, but she gets enveloped by the cicadas after Christy leaves the room. And just like what happened to Randall, her eyes end up turning white after the cicadas go into her body, and she seems like she's dead, but Boyd confirms that she's still breathing. Julie also gets attacked by the cicadas, and it looks like she was going to end up in the same state that Marielle is in, but the scene cuts off before we get to see all of that. So, what's going on here? Why are these characters getting infected by the cicadas? It could be that the three referred to in the melody are those that the music box or the cicadas are coming for. But what's the purpose? What's the point of all of this? Is this the same thing that happened to the three people who are chained up in the dungeon with the Martin? Or is this how the monsters themselves are created? Perhaps the circle of life for the monsters starts with the worms, then the worms get into a creature's body, then they turn into cicadas, and the cicadas go into the human body, and then the human transforms into one of the monsters. I think this would be a good explanation for what happened during Victor's flashback, because there would have been three different monsters inside the hiding spots of the town's residents. And that would make people run outside for safety, only for them to get ambushed by the rest of the monsters who roam outside at night. They also could have been killed by the music box, but that wouldn't explain how their bodies got scattered throughout the town. Or was it a combination of both things happening at the same time? Sarah tells us that Boyd said that this place feeds on our pain, but she thinks it does more than that as well. She tells us Nathan had a fear of cicadas and he considered them to be monsters. Sarah believes that when people die in Fromland, their fears become a part of the forest, which is an interesting idea and makes you think if the cicadas came about as a result of Nathan's death, but we don't have any confirmation if the monsters are different every cycle, which should be the case if that's the scenario. Or is it that Fromland is selecting people who have specific fears that this place is catered towards? What if somebody has a fear of being rich? How would that manifest in Fromland? There's a lot of different fears, and I'm not really sure how that some of them would be able to manifest in Fromland. And it's also hard to say if everyone's dreams can become a reality in Fromland or only specific people like Nathan, because we've had a lot of people dying, and it's only until now that we've started getting a heck of a lot new monsters. Tabitha tells Jade that the Civil War soldiers that Victor's sister drew were based on stories Victor's mother used to tell them when they were kids. So I'm guessing that the guy who got slammed by the boulder in season 1 is also based off of one of similar stories. Previously, I considered that the monsters were changed each cycle and that the Civil War monsters were based on what people during the 1860s were scared of. But with the way this is going, it looks like the soldiers were just a representation of fears and were never actually monsters in Fromland. Based on what Victor said, I'm guessing that the ballerina is based on that same type of idea. Someone was probably afraid of ballerinas, so that's why we saw that one attacking Boyd.
Boyd! Come back to me.
This is one of the most important ones in the entire series. One way or another, what this scene means for what we think about Fromland is huge. Whether it's that Abby never actually died or it was something else, the way the monsters stopped in this scene felt really powerful. I'm guessing that this was the man himself, the top guy, the guy at the top of the pyramid, the one who stands above all of them. And I seriously believe he was trying to manipulate Boyd. For what reason, I'm not sure, but it seems to me that that's what he was doing. And this really reminded me of the scenes with Father Cartry in this season. In the back of my mind, every time we saw him, I was always wondering, is this really him or just somebody pretending to be him? He definitely seemed way more aggressive than when he was alive, and the way he tried to get Boyd to give up, that seemed really suspicious to me. And maybe it's no coincidence that it was that same night he tried getting Boyd to give up that Boyd ended up killing Smiley using the worms. So I don't know, but I think this is the guy, this thing right here. Ellis being scared that his baby is gonna be having dreams is definitely something I never even considered, but that's pretty terrifying because the music box can easily get to that kid and there's no way you're gonna be able to wake him up. That's just not possible. Christy talking about how in medical school they talk about how life is one big mystery around a magic ball of fire a million miles away that keeps us warm and safe, that being the sun. I wonder, does this have a bigger meaning than is obvious at the moment? Are the writers hinting that the sun is significant, or are they telling us that the people of Fromland also have something like a sun that is protecting them somehow? Tilly is more suspicious than she's ever been before. In this episode, she just magically knew that Fatima was pregnant without anyone telling her. How did she know that? How does she know all of these things? Why is she so much more informed than everyone else? And it can't be coincidence that she just happens to mention it in front of Elgin so that in the last scene it causes drama because Boyd is like, am I the only one who didn't know this? You know?
All right, just calm down.
Get out. I gotta get back out of here at risk. When the fuck are we not at risk?
Jim was a fucking idiot for trying to open the door at Colony House like that.
Donna's back. Donna's back. Donna's back. Donna's back.
How the hell were they just casually opening the door to Colony House and saying, Donna's here, everyone? Like, what the fuck even was that? As if the first season didn't establish that opening the door breaks the seal and drops the talisman. You know, what the hell was that? Ethan's behavior isn't something I really had an issue with. I think it's definitely an expected reaction to being in this horrible place. This episode also confirms how long Victor's been living in Fromland. Jade says Victor's been here for 40 years. If he was 10 in his flashback, he'd be 50 years old by now. The way Marielle easily removed those wooden barricades and she didn't even have any tools to do it, whoever put those up really did a shitty job because, come on, that's not gonna prevent anybody from opening the windows. I definitely would not have left Marielle alone in that room in a place where dozing off can get you killed in an instant. In fact, why would any of them be in a room where they can't be observed by others? Kenny not mentioning to Boyd that he also had the poem was one of the dumbest things I've seen in the show. But Kenny telling Sarah she can kill herself if she's so pitiful about her situation is something that I completely understand. After all, she was the person who killed his dad. So the fact that Kenny hasn't killed himself is proof that he's actually acting very rationally and not letting his emotions overwhelm him like most people would in that situation. Overall, this episode had a lot of lore reveals, but it felt like a very weak episode, especially because of the bile bullets turning out to be a massive nothing bugger. They didn't do anything. So their hype and build up, all of that, it was completely irrelevant. And I'm getting tired of these ghoul demons. I need to see them getting bodied. Or bare minimum, we need a character who actually knows the lore, like Martin or the boy in white. Heck, they might even be the same person, but we need somebody like that to explain the lore. We had multiple people believing that the bullets were going to work, but that didn't give them the power to kill the monsters. So I don't think that the residents have the ability to turn their general desires into reality. I think it's specifically the thing behind Fromville or the trees themselves that is using people's fears as inspiration for the monsters. And we really need someone to give an explanation about them. If there's no other way to kill them apart from the worms, then we need character to reveal how we can get more of the fucking worms. I am beyond tired of these things being invincible yet so underwhelming at the same time. It's becoming hard for me to see these monsters, because for such a long time it's feeling like the writers are getting a kick out of teasing the fuck out of all of us. First it was the worms. Oh, you can kill them with the worms. Oh no, the worms are gone. Okay, fine, you can kill them with the bile. And then no, actually you can't. The bile doesn't do shit. Like, come on. I'm fucking tired of the writers hyping up some sort of weapon that can be used against them and then taking it away. Or in the case of the bile, it doesn't even work, period. Like, what's the point of that? What the fuck is the point? They need to give us the weakness of the monsters, something that is easily reproducible so that we can actually kill these fucking things. I am tired of them. And I am tired of being told that, hey, this is the weakness, this is how they're going to fight back. And then, oh no, actually, no, they can't actually fight back. Come on, man, what the fuck? But the music box, oh, man, the music box is beyond terrifying. A genuine nightmare beyond nightmares. Getting killed in your dreams and dying in the real world too. That is very scary. The best thing to do in this situation is to have everybody staying in the same room so that people don't fall asleep. If somebody starts dozing off, you wake them up. Hey, wake up, slap their face or whatever the fuck it takes to wake them up. But eventually you'll either have commit suicide or accept that the music box is going to get you, because you can't live even 2 weeks without getting any sleep. But okay, that was episode 9, and the next week is gonna be the finale. I hope that they actually give us some fucking answers, because oh man, and we really need to kill these fucking monsters, man. I am tired of them. I am really tired of them.